Good evening. I'd like to call the village board meeting for Tuesday, September 4th, 2018 to order with roll call, please.
Cavelli?
I was wondering.
Here. Betts?
Here.
Weinhammer?
Here.
Kostler?
Here.
McAlpine?
Here.
Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, just a voice vote. All in favor of allowing trustee Kim Cavelli to attend via phone she's on her maternity leave? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Welcome, Kim. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brian, will you see if there's anybody signed it? Oh, you did you? Oh, okay. We'll now move to the open forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. I have two people that have signed in, Mr. David Chapman.
Dave Chapman, 859 Viridian Way. First, it's a couple of thank yous that I'm here for tonight. Thank you, Chief. Helped the Cary Grove Masonic Lodge by being out there all day. Thank you very much. They raised $600 in cash for the food pantry, and they had 15 crates of food that was delivered over there. They did it the previous day in the Grove, and again, the efforts were wonderful, and thank you, because this is a time where there's not a lot of people thinking about that. Eric? I have to come and say thanks to you as well to this board and the past two boards that stuck something out. I've attended 22 rain events in the last 2 years since the project was substantively finished at Sunset and Crest. I go out there and I look, I see if the drains are cleared and clean, and if our residents are having any problems. I've talked to 8 of the different residents who had been directly affected, some of them multiple times by the floods there. And I'm here to tell you that there has not been an incident with water in anybody's basement, with water pooling up. There is a little puddling down right on the circle. But again, it doesn't even get up over the curb. So Eric, your efforts were phenomenal. And Jake, will you please tell Chris Clark tomorrow, thank you for everything that the boards in the village of Cary did, because that's something that was kicked down the road for 40 years. And sometimes you have to do what's right. We found a grant for that to help us offset the village's cost. And I'll encourage you to continue to look for grants to improve the downtown. If you look around us, all of the communities that are around that are thriving are putting big dollars and money into their downtown to make it a destination. The residents had a vision. It's on the 20-year plan, and I did advise and ask the board to look at that and recall. If you have questions about the money return on your investment, I'm sure staff can make that available. But there are numerous studies out there that show that improving your downtown improves a village's bottom line. I look around the village as I drive around, and I have a very immense sense of pride. So Mark, we were talking earlier that you don't get a lot of thank you calls. Being on the board, all of us, there aren't a lot. There's a lot of other ways, but that's one thing that you can all look forward to when your term is up and you look around and you see the things that you had a hand in helping to improve our village. I look at those apartments on First. I look at the flood mitigation things that we did on 2nd Street. The Oak Knoll apartments are now they're clean, they're kept up. Their landscaping is beautiful. Sunset and Crest, we have the Haber project going forward for the homes there. And most recently, and I'm looking really forward to the groundbreaking for the Pearl, the senior housing. That is a feather in the village of Cary's cap. The train station improvements, there is really a lot to be proud of. And everybody on the board, thank you for your service. It's often a very selfless position. I encourage, as I did when we were going with, is it D.R. Horton with the Westlake? Who's taking over Westlake?
Dear.
Yeah, is that if we can, I know it was tough with that one, to consider always, whenever we have a development or an opportunity, to add that 10% affordable housing right in there up front so that the developers know that that's something that the Village of Cary strives to do. And again, thank you all, and thank you all.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Mr. Knowlton,
He's here for.
are you here for the fence? I don't think you'll have an issue with that, so we should be good. Anybody else like to approach the village board about anything? Anybody? All right, we'll go ahead and close open forum. I have one proclamation this evening. It's Constitution Week 2018, whereas September 17, 2018 marks the 231st anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and where it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document in the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting to and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Mark Kaunick, Mayor of the Village of Cary, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2018, to be Constitution Week in the Village of Cary, and encourage all citizens to reflect on the importance of the active citizenship, recognize the enduring strength of our Constitution, and reaffirm our commitment to the rights and obligations of citizenship in this great nation, dated this 4th day of September, 2018. Next is, is trustee reports. None have been brought to my attention, so we'll go right to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 through 8, which are listed and posted on our screens here for the public to see here, and also listed online.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstaining.
Mark,
Oh, yes.
With Cavelli abstaining.
I wanted to pull the minutes with the consent agenda.
Before that, we don't, since it's, you weren't here, that it doesn't have any bearing on the approval of them. We had talked to Attorney Euler, and he had said that that would be okay if we left them on there.
The minutes will reflect your abstention.
Sorry, I should have brought that to your attention. I apologize for that. I'm looking at the phone right here. I should have realized that. Roll call, please.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Kostler,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Betts.
Yes.
Thank you. Items for separate action. I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending provisions of the municipal code relating to water conservation.
So moved. Second.
Is there any further discussion on this?
If I could just highlight the one change we had made since the committee discussion, and that was to simplify the penalty and enforcement provisions. We had some discussion that was raised about the item that we were using to possibly have the ability to shut water off in the event of noncompliance. Upon reviewing it with the attorney, we did feel that while you could enable and could enact that provision, it is far more simpler and practical for our staff to enforce a simple fee structure. So upon written notice, if there's noncompliance, the same, fee, I meant fine structure, and that can be applied just like any other violation. Mainly because the condition in which the situation is rectified is not easily determined when you're using water when you shouldn't be. So basically, this will make that process simpler and will alleviate all those other concerns.
Thank you for making that change.
Sure.
Any other questions on that? Roll call, please.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Betts,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Kostler.
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the village administrator to execute an engineering agreement with HR Green Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois, in the amount not to exceed $144,510 for design services associated with the Eastern Gateway Regional Lift Station and authorize the village administrator to approve a 10% contingency for unforeseen changes in scope for a maximum project budget of $158,961.
So moved.
Second.
Eric, back up.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you this evening is the engineering contract with HR Green for the design services for the lift station that the mayor mentioned. This is for a project in our TIF district, which is along Route 14 on the east end of town approaching the Fox River. This lift station would enable to help encourage the development on those vacant properties and undeveloped properties, commonly known as the Selkie property, which from the comp plan map you see there in yellow, and also the Jack's Channel property in blue. So this design process would enable us to get construction documents prepared and enable us to issue bids this winter so that we can see the numbers, put that through our budget process in February, March, and actually get to construction in 2019, which would be completed then ahead of the expiration of that TIF. The project was, we were given proposals by all of our on-call firms. HR Green was determined to be most qualified based on their prior experience in other projects and also some recent experience in dealing with the Union Pacific Railroad for pipeline crossings, given that this lift station will have a force main that would need to go underneath the railroad tracks to get to the wastewater plant. Going from the area shaded in red under the tracks through the industrial park and over to the plant, which is located in the left side of the slide there.
Can you, Eric, just quickly, can you orient where the Selkie property is?
Sure.
Here.
So the Selkie property is
Thank
between
you.
Janus Cutoff Road and 14, would be this triangular portion here. The proposal from HR Green was also under the budgeted amount from our estimate from the budget process. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
This is a pretty significant project here. If you recall, Mayor Village Board, we had discussed this during our CIP workshop, not only the design of it, but the future construction. But we do like how this can help to encourage the development potential of both the Selkie property and the Jack's Channel site here that's been long talked about potentially being developed.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Eric, so now the capabilities with this lift station will be as opposed to now, right now, as opposed to after this lift station, what's the difference in capabilities as far as development, just for everybody out there? How's this
Sure.
gonna help?
Given the topography and the lay of the land here, the highest, for the Selkie property in particular, the highest point of the property is on the north end, and the low points are toward the south. Given that those elevations, any development that would occur right now would have to have a pump station on site just to get all their sewer systems to get to the current access point, which would be the station that exists next to the CVS development. So given that any development that would occur would have to do an on-site lift station, it does make sense to regionalize that work. And that way that it can be phased too, which will be part of our design process, exactly what scale is constructed. But it would be done in a manner that should other development need to tap in, whether it's to the north or Jack's Channels, that some of the major difficult parts of that design and construction are completed. You can oversize wet wells, you can leave room for bigger pumps that can be added later. Things like that can bring the costs in line with what we need to do now, maybe just to serve what's more imminent, but make it much easier for the next phase, for the next development down the road. And obviously the biggest and one of the higher costs would be that force main getting into the existing system down here and under the tracks. So that part would be done for the next phase of development as well.
Okay, so there's going to be flexibility as far as volume of capability of pumping in case, let's say that there's a hotel that goes in down in Jack's Channel. We can
Right.
accommodate that with this.
Right.
Correct.
It would likely have to have some other improvements involved, but at least the bulk of the major costs and some of the hurdles that they would have faced trying to get from here over to here, having to travel through multiple properties. Some of those easements can be established up front, some of the force mains, and of course the lift station itself.
You're exactly right, Trustee Coster. There would be that built-in flexibility for future development. We wouldn't build it all at once, but as development occurs, it could still utilize infrastructure that we're planning on putting in.
It'll be very scalable, which will then make it much more cost-effective for that next developer.
That's great. I just want to make sure that was in there for the future development. So it's great.
Any other comments for Eric?
I think it's great. I think we need to, we've got the TIF money, that's what it was set up for, to get properties ready to be developed. And I think it's a wise and prudent decision to get this going.
It's great for economic development for that quarter. Roll call, please.
Costler,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Cavelli,
yes,
Betts,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending the Village of Cary Municipal Code Title 1, Chapter 1.08, General Penalty to add a new section 1.08.091, providing for recovery of the fees and costs of collection for any default in the payment of fines or penalties owed to the village.
So moved.
Second.
Michael?
Item 3 and item 4 are somewhat tied together. In item 3, we're asking for the code to be amended to allow us to add the costs of collection to any outstanding fine or penalty. Item number 4 actually allows us to enter into an agreement with a collection agency. By doing this, we pretty much guarantee that we will always collect 100% of whatever it is we're owed, with the additional costs being added on and being borne by the person who has the debt outstanding.
Well, anything we can do to collect money is important. We don't want to let that money go.
If you have any questions, be more than happy to answer.
Any questions? Thank you, Michael. Roll call, please.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Costler,
Yes.
Betts,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Cavelli,
yes,
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve entering into a collection contract with MCSI Municipal Collection Services Incorporated.
So moved. Second.
As Michael had mentioned before, this is the second part of this. Is there any follow-up questions?
I just want to add too, for the public's benefit here, the village did complete an RFP process. We received responses from 4 firms. Finance Director Descharmes vetted those firms, completed background checks, and we're recommending MCSI.
Roll call, please.
Betts,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Cavelli,
yes,
Costler,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Thank you. Moving to Administrator's report. Jacob?
It was mentioned earlier, here we have the groundbreaking coming up for the Cary Senior Living development. The village board is invited to attend. That's going to occur this Thursday at 10 a.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Department heads, Chief? Eric?
Just one item for you. Obviously, everybody's aware we've had a lot of significant rainfall this past 7 days, particularly this past weekend. Just looking at some of the weather stations in the Cary area, we had a range of about 5 to 7.5 inches just over Labor Day weekend. And through the last week, we had about 5.5 to 9.5 inches. So we had a wide range of rain, which fortunately, compared to some of our neighboring communities out west and north, Woodstock and McHenry, they were more like in the 11-inch range in total for the past week. Overall, we fared pretty well. The only issues we had were some standing water in areas where inlets got clogged by debris. Once a crew member was out there or a police department officer cleared that inlet, they all drained almost immediately. So we did not have any major issues, just some of the typical ones that we experience in our usual hotspots, many of which were in our flood study from the past year. That being said, we are going to be extending our curbside brush pickup following these storm events. We had one last week. Due to the high volume, we actually were still in the process of finishing that up. So we are going to extend that again for this week. We'll get word out that residents can have their brush out by 7 a.m. on Thursday. Then Thursday and Friday, crews will do another complete sweep of every street and pick up brush that is within the parameters posted on our website. If there's any questions, otherwise encourage residents to check our website for those parameters, and we will be out to pick that brush up Thursday and Friday.
Thank you, Eric. Brian, do you have anything for you? Michael?
No, sir.
Any future agenda items and discussion by the village board? None. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We will reconvene in just a minute or two.